Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bears Den. I am Saul Rodriguez, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts Joe Tanksley and Shawn Sierra. How is everybody doing this week? How are we doing, Shawn?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing good. Doing good. Good. Loving the beautiful weather. Looking forward to Memorial Day weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it sneaks up on you, right? Like people were talking about
Real
Memorial,
fast.
Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, yeah, it's probably in a couple. No, it's already this weekend. I'm like, dang, with the great weather, I'm like, man, it's definitely come at a perfect time. So I'm hyped for that for sure. How we doing, Joe? How's everything going, man?
I'm pretty well too. I'm enjoying the weather as well. Hopefully, the people upstairs, maybe I could get a early Father's Day gift. I'm looking for a new grill, uh, so we could get something cracking this weekend. But you know what? I'm excited, for the weekend, and excited to get started talking about the Bears schedule.
Oh yeah, hey Joe, you know what? I'm not a father yet, but I'll give all my whatever Father's Day aura I got. I'm gonna pass that on to you, Joe, and hopefully that you're able to get that grill and and hopefully that works out for you. So hey, you never know, never too early, with Father's Day. It was
Yeah,
good
never too
reminder for
early.
me to get never too early to get thinking about Father's Day. I gotta give my dad something good, so that's for sure something to think about. So, but yeah, no, with the schedule, of course coming out recently and everybody talking about, I'm sure you guys have both had some time to think about, what the Bears schedule, will be like and how the Bears will, combat it and all that type of stuff. But kind of wanted to get your guys' just overall thoughts on it. Just to start off, we'll delve into it. But what's your guys' thoughts on the schedule as a whole when it came out? Shawn, we'll start with you.
I looked at it and I was somewhat excited. The NFL did the Bears a solid. Let me just say that. All right. The NFL did the Bears a solid. From the lack of division games until later. That was huge. That's super huge. All right, we don't face the division until week 11. All right, and a lot of the teams that we play are some of the worst teams in football, relatively speaking. And if you look at it, it's like I was fired up, man. I was really fired up. If you look at it, you see you got here you go. You got the Tennessee Titans. Now, listen, they can't come out and lose this Tennessee Titan game. You're talking a whole new change, quarterbacks, everything, new offensive coordinator. You can't lose this game. Texans, okay, maybe they lose that one. But the Colts, maybe the Rams, but the Panthers, the Jaguars, then you got to buy the Commanders, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. Dude, those should all be wins. I say maybe 2 losses. Maybe they lose to the Rams. All right, maybe they lose to the Rams and the Texans. Those 9 games, Saul, Joe, they're 7-2. You split the last 8 games, that's 11-6. That's division or playoffs. Definitely playoffs, maybe the division. So it's given the big shout out to the NFL for giving the Bears a very favorable schedule, because now think about all the time. Because what are we worried about? All right, Caleb getting on in sync with the receivers. Caleb, everyone getting on the same page and everyone getting the kinks out of the new offense. Well, here's what. Caleb has had that offense, a couple of months before he was even drafted, because his quarterback coach, the relationship his quarterback coach and Shane Waldron have. So he's working on cadence. He's working on inflection. He's working on formations. He's got a lot of that before he was even drafted. So before he even went into OTAs. Then they're in the Hall of Fame game, which means they get to practice a week earlier because of the fact they have to play earlier. They're getting a lot of extra time. So by week 10, week 11, man, they might have one or both training wheels off that offense, and we might be able to see a high-powered offense. So I was really, really excited. So really, really excited about the schedule as it came out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, looking at the schedule, I think a lot of people were like they find it really strange that there had a lot of divisional games late and all that. But I agree with you, man. It's almost like it's almost like the league did us a favor in the sense that it kind of gives Caleb Williams like a little bit of time to settle in if there's anything he's got to work on and all that. And it's definitely different, but I'm not. There's no complaints on my end. I mean, I think it's definitely cool also to see week 2 they got Sunday Night Football against CJ Stroud. So it's one thing that right off the bat, not they don't face a lot of divisional or opponents, but they have a national game. So Joe, what about you, man? What did you think about the schedule, like off the bat? A lot, like I said, a lot of people were thinking about those divisional games, but I think me and Shawn see it as kind of like something a good thing in disguise, right?
I agree with both of you. I think this is very favorable, especially with a young rookie quarterback coming into the first season. It's the NFL. They're not, you know, the perfection. It's going to get off kind of jail, time you know, it's
Hey Joe, we gotta get you. Joe, we gotta get you again. You're choppy, bro. We can't hear you very well at all. It's back to choppy again. We can't understand it. We can't hear anything.
Yeah. Here while Joe gets that settled in, Shawn, I'll ask you. Besides, like I mentioned, against the Texans. Try it again. Yeah, what's up?
Is it better?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
All right. I guess I have to ditch the headphones, but I was going to say, when you mentioned the NFL doing the Bears a solid, I think the NFL, really wants the Bears to succeed. And when you look at this market, and how the fans come out and support the Bears, and how they're getting behind Caleb Williams, and this, may be the first, legit shot that the Bears have at, having, a 4,000-yard passer, in the season. It might not come this season, but it's going to come. I think the Bears the NFL needs the Bears in prime time. And when you look at how the schedule is laying out, Shawn laid it out perfectly. It could be 7-2. And now here comes week 11. You got all these divisional opponents. That's a prime time matchup. Some of those games are going to get flexed.
Mm-hmm.
And they already got 5 primetime spots. So like, those games are going to get flexed if the Bears are formidable. In arguably one of the toughest divisions right now. I think this is setting up for to have the Bears being a legit playoff contender. And now you got you get market 3. In a primetime spot with all the Bears fans watching, a big time football game.
100%, 100%. Yeah, like and what I was gonna start asking was, they have those big matchups, like like I said with the Texans, they face the Jaguars in London. Then they play also the Lions on Thanksgiving. Which games stand out to you guys the most? At least maybe it's not even a game that we mentioned so far. I mean, like we mentioned some of those games are late, and you made a good point, Joe, that like some of those games might get flexed into more national games. Yeah, I know definitely, for example, like that final game in Green Bay, that always has a good chance of being on Sunday Night Football. And then of course, just other games, against the Vikings and Lions. But any other games stand out to you? I know it's going to be, an interesting matchup on Thursday night in week 17 when, Shane Waldron faces his former team. The Bears are going to face Anthony Richardson and the Colts, and it's on the 22nd in week 3. Is there any other game that stands out to you guys in particular besides any of the ones that we've mentioned so far that maybe people aren't talking about? We'll start with you, Shawn.
No, there's the Texans game is a big test early, which I like. But after that, I mean, I think we hit them all. You know, we talked about it. Let's see, look, maybe the Rams. If we can get by the Rams, like I said, in those first 9 games, I could see us 8-1 or 7-2. I don't see 3 losses in that. I think we feel good with the Jaguars. I think we're definitely good with the Panthers. Definitely good. We should be good with the Commanders, the Cardinals, Patriots. I mean, I was really struggling to find 3 losses. I'm like, man, that's stretching. The Texans, the Rams, maybe the Jaguars coming from London. I don't know. But that's a stretch. The other game I really want to see is San Fran. All right. I really want to see San Fran because at that point, you're in week 13 or 13th game, week 14. All right. That offense training wheels should be off. All right. Training wheels should be off. San Fran is one of the most complete teams in the NFL. And where do we stand at that particular point? Where do we stand? You know, we are going up against a loaded team offensively, defensively. And guess what? We're loaded offensive, defensively. And if we're clicking at that particular, we should be clicking at that particular point in December. It's going to be a hell of a game out there in Santa Clara in Levi Stadium.
Yeah, and you know when it comes to that, you know, you bring up the London game and that, like some people say, that's a home game for the Jaguars. Like, you know, they're used to playing there and all that type of stuff. So that one's gonna be tough, regardless of how I think the Bears are playing. Honestly, even if they're playing well, I think it's a tough game for a lot of teams that aren't used to that, and the Bears, you know, aren't chosen for that game a lot. So I think it's going to be interesting, regardless. But Joe, what about you? Is there any other game that stands out to you? I mean, I know another matchup I think that's kind of enticing is when the Bears take on the Panthers, because you know it's DJ Moore taking on his former team. It's Sunday in week 5. Any other game in particular for you that you're marking on your calendar?
You know what? I'm looking at the Bears and 49ers like Shawn. You know, it's going to be in Santa Clara. You know, the weather's going to be nice. You know, if both teams are healthy, you know, you're going to see a solid, you know, football game. You know, a good football game, and I think that's going to be pretty much the marker for the Bears of where they stand in the league. You know, early on in the schedule, you know, I mean, these teams, you know, they haven't played yet, you know, but going based off of what we've seen before, you know what I'm saying? These teams are not scary. You know, we're talking about, you know, the Packers. You know, the Packers was one of the, you know, the youngest teams in the league last year. You know, you always got to mark the, you know, the Packers down. You know, and they, you know, they are up and coming. They made the playoffs last year. So like that's a good marker too. As for where the Bears stand in the division. The Bears have always, you know, under Eberflus have always managed to play well against the Lions. So it's really those divisional games and then the 49ers for me.
Yeah, that 49er one's gonna be juicy, I know for sure. And it's gonna be, you know, and like you mentioned too, with you know the opportunity of games being flexed, like, you know, who knows if Bears playing are getting hot, like how Shawn, you know, is just, you know, thinking maybe they could be 7-2, like way more games. They're gonna be in the national stage way more, because there's been, you know, people have even talked about it, you know, on Twitter and all that you know the NFL is gonna try to milk this Caleb Williams and Bears thing, you know, as much as they can. They know that. If he comes out and he's the star that, you know, he thinks he is, at the league, you know, that the Bears hope he is, then they're going to try to, you know, maximize that, which I don't blame them whatsoever. I'm excited for that anyways. If he wants the bright stage and he's able to, you know, to handle it, why not? Honestly, bring it on. So we'll definitely see where things are happening. But you know what? Other topics that are, you know, that are hot right now are the OTAs, of course. And you know, I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on some of the things that have come. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, there's been plenty of stuff when it comes to like, oh, there's video of him in his, you know, uniform, you know, slinging it, and people talking about, oh, the 18 looks a little goofy, or like the 18, you know, he's gonna make 18 like, you know, a cool number, whatever it is, wherever you stand on his number. What have you guys thought about all that hype? And also there on the other side of the spectrum, you know, Roma Dunze was out with the injury. Is that something you guys think is worth, you know, a little bit of concern, or it's, you know, not a big deal, or is, you know, because he's coming back soon anyways? What have you guys thought on the Bears OTA so far? We'll start with you, Shawn.
OTAs, all right. A lot of guys learning a new offense. All right. Caleb had a rough day today. That's what they were saying. It's going to happen. All right. You got a veteran defense who doesn't have to learn anything. They're not being indoctrinated with a new scheme. A lot of new players on offense are. All right. Caleb is. Keenan Allen is. The other tight end, I just forgot his name.
Gerald Everett.
You know, a couple of the linemen. All right. But it's OTAs. All right. And he's got, defense had a good day. Apparently, the offense won yesterday or 2 days ago, and the defense won today. So it's part of growing. I'm not too worried. The thing that bothers me, and everybody's, somebody DM me and they were just to relax. About OTAs. It's like, relax, man. And you get, I'm not even gonna name any names because whatever. Oh my, Caleb throwing dimes. Caleb, look at this. Like, they're in warm-ups. They're in the warm-up line where Caleb's throwing, you're going half speed and he's throwing to all the line of wide receivers, like he's dropping dimes. Like, I understand the excitement, all right, but you're trying to will and force it, and it's more annoying than anything. Let it play out. All right. And OTAs, I'm not going to make a big statement. Oh my God, did you see Caleb this? Or did you see Rome that? Come on, man. It's OTAs. All right. It's OTAs. They're still installing stuff. They're still working on a lot of things. Like, come on, man. Like, I understand the excitement and the hope that you have, especially all the Caleb cult. They hope he's doing well because they know all the pro Joseph people are going to be all over him if Caleb doesn't stack up to what they claim to the generational label that he's been given. But man, just relax, enjoy it. They're going to have their ups and downs. They started early. Caleb's been exposed to it early. They're going to start early practice. Relax, just relax. It's okay. It's all right, man. I would hope the defense is far ahead of the offense at this particular stage of the game. I would hope so. Because if they're not, then there's a big issue. So the defense winning today, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what people were talking about. As you mentioned, he struggled today. There's a lot of passes that could have been interceptions and all that. And I saw some people, the chatter, and people talking about that the defense. It shows it's a good sign from the defense because they've done their homework on the type of player that Caleb is, and it shows that a positive sign for a defense. It's already really good. So I mean, some of the defensive players have been talked about how excited they are to play against Caleb Williams. I mean, who doesn't like to play against a talented guy, but then also Caleb Williams to play against a talented defense. So yeah, and I agree with you, Shawn, on that. Like, people got to chill out, whether it be overreacting on the positive part and also the negativity part. But I mean, it's just, when it comes to Chicago, you can't run away from these takes. I mean, there's so many outrageous takes out here. So again, it is what it is. But Joe, what about you, man? Anything you've seen online with stuff that stands out to you or anything like that? And for the OTAs?
Not really, not too much. I think that, we kind of got to take this with a grain of salt. Coming in, learning the new offense and why he's ahead of the game, so to speak. Everybody else, in the offense is still learning as well. In the defense, we're expecting that defense to be a top 5 defense. So of course they're going to show out against the rookie quarterback. And Caleb's learning that those windows are not the same like they were in college. Especially when you got Tremaine Edmonds in the middle of the field. Taking about 15, 20 yards worth of space. He has that range. And TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson and Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon and Brisker. Those are some dogs. Of course they're gonna have a good day against the rookie. And I think this is just a learning period. They're installing. You just kind of got to roll with it and just relax. They don't even have full pads. They're not hitting each other for real. They in helmets and shorts.
Yeah, no, that's legit. What I was like telling some people, it's like, man, whatever happens at the OTAs, like, let's just chill out for a sec. Like, and a couple of dimes with nobody, guarding him is not going to make Caleb Williams, Tom Brady, and vice versa is not going to make him Jamarcus Russell, if he throws a couple picks. So, yeah, no, that for sure. I agree with you there. And, with OTAs, comes, other situations around the league that, have to do with the Bears, man. And I know I'm definitely a proponent, and I've said it even during the draft. Hopefully you guys heard me when I was saying it, that like every time, Bears fans, says something about, brings up Justin Fields, they should take a shot or two. But I will say, this one in particular, feel like has more to do in a positive way towards the Bears organization. And Justin Fields recently spoke to the Pittsburgh media, and he talked about just how Ryan Poles and the Bears organization handled his situation. So I know, Shawn, you go ahead and play those clips so you got them ready.
What was your reaction when you heard that you were traded to the Steelers, and what are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, when I first got traded, I was actually, I think it was like 10 o'clock in Italy. I was at dinner, and I had mixed emotions. I was excited, but also sad that I was leaving Chicago. But since my time here, I've enjoyed it a lot. My new teammates, coaches, everybody's here great, and they definitely made the transition for me easy. There was a lot of ups and downs, but all in all, I appreciate every relationship that I built. All my teammates, they know that. Nothing but love for the city, for the fans, and for my old teammates and coaches.
Did you feel they did everything they should have done to facilitate your growth?
I'm not really gonna harp on the past. It is what it is. It's in the past now. I'm here now. So, like I said, I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be a part of the story.
Yeah, no, that I saw those comments, and I'm pretty sure that if I hear that voice correctly, and Shawn, you correct me if I'm wrong. Jason, sounded like it was Jason Leisure there that was asking those questions, right? Yeah. And as soon as I was watching that, and like as soon as he saw him, he was like, "Hey," like
he recognized him. Yeah,
he recognized him. So it's one thing, and we've said it before on here. Definitely. Wish the best for a guy like Justin Fields, and hope for success over there in Pittsburgh. He's going to a situation where he said it in that same press conference where he wanted to be there. Even people were like, "Oh, even with Russell Wilson," and he said, "Yeah." He said he wanted to be there before they got Russell Wilson. He wanted to be there after Russell Wilson, and he wants to learn from a guy like that. So, and like I said, this kind of it speaks more to the Bears organization. I saw people commenting on this situation saying like, "Hey, this shows trustworthiness in the Bears organization. This shows, players can trust Ryan Poles, and stuff like that. That's a good thing for the culture and the organization as a whole." What did you guys think about the situation? We'll start with you, Joe, about Justin Fields' comments on the Bears as a whole.
Well, I think, I don't think it was in that clip, but he also said that, he knew from the body language and the tone of the conversation, it was going to be a lot different this year versus when it was last year when they had, the number one pick game, they traded it to the Panthers. And, I think this is, just the business of the NFL, and, like he always has handled himself. He handled himself with class. And, I'm going to, I'm still a Justin Fields fan. I hope, wish the best for him. There's nothing more I can say. I do think, they kind of let him dangle a little bit too long. I don't think they got enough value for him by waiting for so long. But if they were really trying to get him to the Steelers, and trying to do right by him, then kudos to the Bears organization.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about. It's like it's one of those things where as a whole they did right by him, but at the same time you kind of from the other side of the coin, did they do right by the Bears organization as a whole? I think that's a good question as well too. But Shawn, how do you feel about those comments that Justin Fields made as a whole?
Well, I think he's he wasn't going to throw anyone under the bus. I think he was very politically correct, and it's the one thing, it's not what he said, it's how he looked. Right, he looked free. He looked at peace. He looked like he didn't have the weight of the Charter franchise on his shoulders. To have that whole thing, and believe me, he understood. He knew. He saw the civil war that was going on with Bears fans. You know what I mean? He saw that was going on in Bear Nation. He and like he said, he felt he was going to be traded. So it was once it was traded, once he was traded, it was probably it was a relief for him. It was a relief, saying, "Man, okay, now I get to start over." And if you saw some of the things on social media, his footwork looks a million times better. Just his right foot going back, on a drop back first, as opposed to his left foot being the first foot moving. It just that little thing that I said so often. Remember, I said that all season long last year. I was like, making him drop back, start with his left foot. His right foot has got to drop back first. Step has to be the first step. And he looks more comfortable. The ball's coming out quicker, and so I'm happy for him. He seemed really excited about competing, and he said he's going to compete. And he understands that Russell Wilson is the number one, but that still doesn't stop him from competing, whether it's an actual competition or not. All right. And I think for him, he's saying that in his head because he realized he's got to go out there and show out. All right. He's playing for a contract, whether it's with Pittsburgh or whether it's with someone else. All right. If he can come out and have, because he's going to play, Russell might get hurt, or they just may throw him in a couple of different series. You have to throw him in. All right, you got to throw him in because you got to see what he's got. Because what if this dude comes? What if with the offensive changes that you made for this guy? Okay, what if with the changes that you made for this guy? What if all of a sudden he becomes one heck of a quarterback? Now you want to keep him. Now you want to offer him a contract. So you need to see where he's at. I think he's excited about it. I think he talked saying, "Hey, I'm going to compete." He said that as well, and he also said, "Shout out to Ryan Poles for getting him where he wanted to go." And yeah, I think you said it right, Saul. They did right by him. They probably could have got more for him. Not probably. They could have got more. They did well because I think they knew that they didn't do by him while he was here. So I said, okay, at least let's do right by him moving forward. So big Justin Fields fan like Joe, like a lot of Bears fans are. All right, I wish him the best of luck, except when he plays the Bears moving forward. And man, Godspeed, kid. I just hope. Man, I just want him to do so well because he really got the short end of the stick. He got screwed over big time here in Chicago, and it sucked for him, and it sucked for Bear fans as well. Because if he had been coached properly here, and then we would have had the same pick and then we'd been able to get the haul. But I mean, everything works out for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So, I just wonder what it would have been like having him here with all these weapons, with Shane Waldron, with. But it's a moot point now. So good luck to him, like I said, except when he plays the Bears, and he looks comfortable. He looks a lot more at ease and at peace.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm definitely right with you. I think he'll play, whether it's an injury or whether it's putting him giving an opportunity later on in the season. And they actually have a similar schedule to the Bears when it comes to divisional opponents late in the season. So that's something they can relate to. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I wanted to get another opinion from you guys on when it comes to another divisional opponent in the Lions. They gave a big contract to Jared Goff, 4 years, $212 million, $170 million guaranteed. He's the next quarterback paid. What is your guys' thoughts on just the Lions giving him this deal in general, and also how it affects the other quarterback situation? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks that need to be signed as well. Dak Prescott and all that, people talking about certain deals. The next $50 million quarterback per season. So what is your guys' thoughts on the way that this Jared Goff deal affects the NFL as a whole? We'll start with you, Joe.
You know what? I think, Jared Goff means a lot to the Detroit Lions, and they really do, rally behind him. I do worry, when you give a guy like Jared Goff that money, what happens if Ben Johnson leaves? Now, he's been there long enough, where he knows the offense well enough, to where he could function. And also, he's learned under, Sean DeBay too. So he's been around good play callers and good coaches as to where he should be, a pretty, capable quarterback and should be able to, move and function, if Ben Johnson goes on. But you saw what happened to Josh Allen, which, when Brian Daboll left, and, he kind of fell off a little bit. And so I do kind of worry about that because Ben Johnson is going to get a head coaching job. you know. And so what's going to happen after that? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, you know, they got a system in place where somebody can step in, you know what I'm saying, and business can roll, you know, as usual. But, you know, I think, you know, he's got enough, you know, skin in the game right now to where he should be able to function and know how to run this offense, you know, with minimum input, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, people in his head, blah, blah, blah all the time. You know, I think he should, you know, be enough of a veteran where he can do this thing by himself at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, it was one of those things where I did see a little bit, you know, people talking about, oh, does he deserve this amount of money? Does, you know, is he worth this amount of money? And like the thing is, I think he, you know, regardless of the type of talent this guy has, he definitely, I feel like, is the right fit in Detroit. I mean, we saw how far he was able to take them in the playoffs. He fits that system just well. So I think, you know, it's one of those things where I think the situation's right for him. You know, and it's definitely a lot of cash. But I'm sure it's definitely going to have a big effect on other quarterback situations, like I said, with Dak and all that, and how guys get paid, like Trevor Lawrence, for example, as well. So, Shawn, what about you? What are your thoughts on this big deal that Jared Goff got?
Well, Detroit it themselves. All right. I was waiting. They didn't do it a lot last year. They did it. All right. You're going to, you know what? You got a lot of people. You paid a lot of people. You have some other people who are going to want to get paid. And are you going to start losing things? You mentioned Bobby, you know, Bobby, the OC, Bobby. I can't, because I want to keep thinking OG Bobby Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. It's a cultural thing. It's an old school movie. But when Ben Johnson's going to leave, I thought he was going to leave after this year. And you mentioned, you know, Josh Allen and Brian Dable. Look at Jalen Hurts when they're the offensive coordinator. Doug Peterson left. All right. So, you know, how he's going to do it, I don't know. And then if whoever they bring in, are they going to run the same offense? Are they going to let Jared Goff run that same offense? Or are they going to have to learn a new offense? It's going to be they're going to be in for a world of hurt. Not this year, but in 2025 once Ben Johnson leaves. Yeah, we're going to see. There's going to be people wanting money. There's going to be people, you know, it's, you know, because you got as much as the team concept, you know, you got to go for your own. All right, you every individual person has a family to feed, and they're going to say, hey, I need the most that I can get. So I just don't think that it's going to. I mean, that's $53 million, man, to Jared Goff, who's not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. All right, what does that mean? They're resetting the market, and they're doing. That's going to have a big effect on the NFL when everyone, whoever comes out of contract after this season and moving forward. Come on, man, it's getting ridiculous. Like $50 million for guys who aren't that. Like Jared Goff is good. He's not great. He's not a game changer. He's not generational. He's not. He's good. He's good. That's it. He's not great, and he got $53 million. All right, Detroit. All right, man. You know what? You. I don't know. You know what? You could offer him 35 or 40. Say, hey, you know, you're on a scrap heap. You without us, you really don't have much. Whatever. But hey, I think they screwed themselves down the road.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't blame you for having that standpoint, you know, that stand on that, because look, it's risky at the end of the day. You know, you give a big contract to any of the players, but especially a guy like, you know, Jared Goff, who, you know, as you said, he's not, by no means is he one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I think it's like, it's one of those things where I think they were like, man, you know what? He took us this far. He might be able to take us to the Super Bowl, but, you know, and all that. But yeah, I don't know. It definitely is going to be fascinating to see how this, you know, affects not only the rest of the league's quarterback situations, but also just, you know, the NFC North, and, you know,
that
that,
puts
you
a
know,
lot of pressure on
yeah,
them
go
too
ahead.
this year. I'm saying that puts a lot of pressure on them too this year. You know, we just said it. Ben Johnson is leaving. You know what I'm saying? They got to get to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They got to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's where they probably feel that they can get, but at the same time, you know, the division got better, you know, so it's going to be, you know, going to be a gauntlet. Like, so it's not going to be any easier for them to get there. And I think that's kind of where Shawn's coming from, is like, man, it's the situation didn't get any better, it hasn't gotten any easier. And they put a lot more, pressure on these guys with the cash. So it's going to be something to watch out for sure, is the Lions. But continuing with the rest of the league, seeing where other teams stand, with the schedule, and the way that things come out. I was very fascinated by an interview I saw on Rich Eisen with Mike North, talking about the way that the NFL handles these schedule releases and the way they plan things out. But I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the Jets. They have at least 5 nationally televised games this season, including the first Monday Night Football. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Aaron Rodgers gets a redo, where he played just a couple snaps in that first game after, and then he obviously got injured for the rest, was out for the rest of the season last season. So what is your guys' thoughts on the Jets and the way that the schedule was put together, where, they're obviously, one of the top teams that the NFL wants to kind of have in our face all season long? Well, sorry, you, Shawn.
Well, they want to showcase them. All right. They're looking at Rodgers, and I think they, you're dealing with the largest market in the country. So, the East Coast bias is real. All right. It's obvious. So I'm not surprised. And now they're getting finally this year what they anticipated last year. They got for all of 4 plays. So, as long as he stays healthy, they anticipate the Jets being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I mean, how can you not? I mean, look at the receivers that Aaron Rodgers has. Look at that defense that the Jets have. They're top notch. So, I get it. You got a good team in the East Coast bias. It plays right into it. It's very easy for them. It's very easy for the NFL to justify the Jets 5 nationally televised or primetime games. Very easy for them to justify it, because the Jets are winning. I mean, the last time they won it was Super Bowl III. So we're talking almost 50 years of 50 years of futility. We're mad at the Bears for only winning since the last was 85. Imagine if you're the Jets. It was back in the late 60s, early 70s. So it's they got a lot of excitement over there with Aaron Rodgers. So it doesn't surprise me, and they deserve it. You know what? And here's the thing: let them have it. Let them have it. You play on all the national games, everything, and you be under the microscope and everything. And let's just keep up most of our games at 12 o'clock noon. Okay, a couple of Thanksgiving game, maybe a Sunday night. Let's just stay under the radar, man. Let's just chill. Let's go handle our business, and slowly but surely, after that first 10 weeks with one bye, we're 7-2, 8-1. Like, holy cow, these Bears are for real.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm kind of surprised that the NFL didn't pin us against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Like that's just a great story to have out there. It's like can Aaron Rodgers beat the Bears in a different uniform? Can the Bears beat Aaron Rodgers if he's in a different, so like I'm kind of surprised they didn't pin them up this season against each other. But obviously they got they got plenty of great matchups to the Jets. So they definitely will have it out for them for sure. What about you, Joe? What are your thoughts on the league kind of having the Jets as their national television darlings, I guess, this season?
Well, you know what? I mean, when you look at the other New York team, they kind of in turmoil. They stink. The Giants, so when you talk about the biggest market, that's the Jets. With Aaron Rodgers and that defense, and with those weapons, I think the NFL was looking, for the Jets to be big contenders this year to drive that viewership. That's why they got the 5 nationally televised games. I think that's what they're banking on. I think we're the way that they put these schedules out, you kind of see who they're putting favor in and who they're hoping to do well, and kind of they really want to drive that viewership up. And the way you do that is you put your bigger markets in the nationally televised games. Our national games don't come until later in the season, but the Bears got 5 national games too. So like I see the onus being put on these big market teams to really drive that viewership and get those ratings up for the NFL.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's one thing people were talking about when it comes to the way that the league, puts together these schedules and all that. And some people were saying, that because they take into account like playoff teams and of other leagues, for example, um like I said, Mike North from the league was talking about, they put or they were thinking about the Ravens home games. The Orioles are going to be in the playoffs in October, so they were looking at games like that. So that does affect it, which I was kind of curious as to how intense that does affect the schedule. And then some people were talking about how like there's I forgot which week it was, but like a week in which Travis Kelce and the Chiefs are in the same spot that Taylor Swift has like one of her concert dates, and
Yeah.
people were like it's a little fishy that they had it out there, blah, blah, blah. And they asked, like I said, they asked Mike North about it, and he was like, no, they don't take that into account. But it's a little bit of a coincidence there that they they would have that out there, and but we'll see. I mean, one thing that I mentioned too earlier was the fact that the Steelers kind of have a schedule like the Bears, where like a lot of their divisional opponents come after week 10. They face the Ravens in week 11, the Browns week 12. Besides that, you can talk about that one, but is there any other schedules or any other highlighted games that stand out to you guys from the schedule release? Because like there's the Packers are playing in Brazil. Like I said, I mentioned the Bears are also playing in London. They're playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The best stadium in the world. That's what I call, because it's my Tottenham Hotspur, but anyways, it's besides the point. But any what do you guys think? Any particular schedule that stands out to you? Maybe it's the Steelers one, see what kind of challenges it brings with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. But what about you, Joe? Like, is there anything that in particular that from the schedule release that maybe the league or people aren't talking about enough out there?
Well, when you talk about the Steelers, it's like their division is a lot like the NFC North, the AFC North. This going to be a dogfight with Cleveland, Baltimore. Mike Tomlin still hasn't had a losing season yet, and so you put those divisional games. You talk about Pittsburgh. That's a good football market, So like, I really see like the drive being put on and it's having high stakes football towards the end of the season, where these teams, really got to, take control of their destinies and, go for the division against each other. And I kind of like that, a little bit, having all that drama late in the season versus spread out, over the whole season. When you get those guys, you see them 1 week and, you're going to see them in another week or two. So like that really, that's how rivalries are built. That's how you get chippy and get bad blood in between each other. It's playing those games in close proximity to each other is gonna make for some good football.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that as you mentioned with the division, like those matchups are going to be juicy. So it's like, that's I think definitely a reason why they do that type of stuff. Because you never know. Like, let's say Russell Wilson doesn't play so hot, Justin Fields looks good, and they go into to face Lamar Jackson late, and that's gonna be a great matchup. So definitely excited to see that. What about you, Shawn? Is there anything in particular? Is it that Steelers season, schedule that looks, a little interesting, or is there something else that maybe people aren't talking about enough when it comes to other big games? Like the Christmas slate. I mean, speaking of the Steelers, the Steelers are playing Chiefs on Christmas. It's not really a big favor. I have a friend who's a Steelers fan. I was telling him, I'm like, they kind of did you bogus there. Because, I mean, it's one thing to put the Bears on Thanksgiving, like, as much as the Bears fans are confident, like, that kind of puts our feelings on Thanksgiving on the line, like we're going to, it's at 12 o'clock. Is our dinner going to be ruined by the time we eat dinner? And like the Steelers, I think their Christmas might be over, their feelings are going to be crushed by the time, they get some presents or stuff like that. But what about you, Shawn? Anything in particular that stands out to you?
No, that's going to be a good game,
Yeah.
But, I like the fact that they did put a big emphasis on the division at the end of the season. So, all the kinks are worked out from the beginning, and you have some injuries, that's for sure, but you're going to have some, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be really, really, really exciting. Joe talked about it. Like it'll be a situation like you could play a team twice in 3 weeks. So you play them next week, you play another team, but then now you're on the on the road against this teams that that you played 2 weeks ago. It's going to be exciting, man, and because there's going to be a lot of division battles. It's going to go down to the end of the season because of all the division games there, and that division is tough. The Steelers are in. It's tough. It's a physical division. So yeah, this is probably just the Chiefs one, but you pick any team in their division, it's going to be tough. It's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good quality football at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's the best part. At the end of the day, unbiased, that unbiased watch later on in the season is going to go crazy when it comes to these types of matchups, and I'm excited for that at the end of the day. So I think that's going to be intense. So I think that's a good place though to wrap things up for this edition of the Bears Den. I want to thank, as always, my co-hosts Joe Tanksley and Shawn Sierra. Make sure to watch all of our content on SportsZone Chicago, as well as WARR Media with At Bat Podcast, Slam Society as well. It's from SportsZone Chicago. You got our guys Shawn and Maya, and then you also have Second City Sports with Lakina and Sid. So check that out as well. I want to thank everyone for watching the Bears Den this week, and hopefully everyone enjoys Memorial Day weekend. Have a good one, everybody.